Hello again. With us today is a former model turned actress. She was Broadway's original Corliss Archer, the screen's Dear Ruth. She's the very lovely Joan Caulfield. Also with us is someone who has experienced poetic justice. One of the staples of Days of Our Lives, he's the popular Macdonald Carey. And now, here he is, your man of the half hour, Skip E Lowe.
Joan Caulfield, George Abbott. Kiss and Tell on Broadway, like 14 months or something like that, or
it was,
longer?
I was 2 years, then it went on for another year, and then it went, stayed on Broadway, and you know, Kirk Douglas was in it. With
Kirk Douglas and Richard Winmark.
He played my brother, darling man. You know, I've never seen him since that. That's how many
Are you
years
joking?
ago.
How long? This town in Hollywood? Never?
No, never seen him since. But I wanted to tell you about George, what he was like. I once said to Gene Tierney and Eddie Bracken, we were at a semi-reunion of George Abbott's actors, I said, why would he take the trouble, this fine director, to train absolute amateurs? He said, because he's cheap. He got us for $75 a week. And my name was starring in Kiss and Tell with Jesse Royce Landis and Bob Keith. They were each making $750, and I made $75, and with the deductions, it was about $45. But I was delighted to do it.
Paramount then brought you?
Paramount,
Signed
Buddy
up?
DeSilva. I wore shorts in the show. I played a 16-year-old girl, and wore these shorts, and Buddy DeSilva said, oh, she has beautiful legs, let's put her in musicals. Logic, right?
This is at Paramount?
This is at Paramount. So I did a picture. My first one was Miss Susie Slagle with Sonny Tufts.
Sonny Tufts.
Yeah,
God.
who was darling, lovely man. And then a producer named Mark Sandrich, remember him, Meg? Yeah. They cast me in this musical. Now they had to start from scratch. I had to learn how to dance and sing a little. And I was a tennis player. One show I was in of George Abbott's, a musical called Beat the Band.
Right.
And I played Veronica, this girl that lived in an agent's office with a Veronica Lake hairdo. And I was supposed to walk undulatingly across the stage, and Jack Whiting was in the show. And I would make these appearances every now and then, but it was supposed to be very sensuous and lovely. So George says, what are you doing? He had a very high voice. Joan, you act like you're walking to a tennis game. Well, I was. So then Jack would try to show me how to, well, it was a pathetic thing. So when that show closed, it was very short-lived. George called me one day, and he had a very funny voice. And he said, Joan, I finally got a show that's right for you. It's a 16-year-old girl, Corliss Archer and Kiss and Tell.
Did you have fun at Paramount?
Oh, fun. It was agony. I was, you know, it was so awesome with Bob Hope and Bing Crosby. And at the that time, the war was on.
Right.
And of course, Der Bingle and Bob and their armed forces. And I mean, it was the most exciting time. But you felt this big, you know. And I was going to be in a picture with Bing, and Paul Draper was in it. And then he was replaced by Fred Astaire.
Right.
And I was just awed, and I acted it in the picture, and my mouth was like open. You know, Bing would say something, and I go, what? You know, it was stunning.
But Bing did love you, though, didn't he? Come on, Joe, Caulfield, come on, a little secret.
Oh, I don't
Bing
know.
had a little...
You know what he liked about me? I wore little white gloves and a little white collar, and I was very, from like a girls' school.
Right.
He used to call me
Sweet. You look sweet.
West
sweet.
Orange Wisteria.
Right.
Sweet and clean cut. Well, I have to tell you something. If you had the most famous man in the world, now Bing is not the most gorgeous man, you know, he had a shape like a milk bottle, but anyway, when he opened his mouth to sing, and he used to sing songs to me every week on the Kraft Music Hall, like You Are Too Beautiful, and, oh, I don't know.
But you know something, he never claimed himself to be a Sinatra or a Dean Martin or any of that. He never realized how great he was. Bing Crosby always was a nice family man. He was a family man, wasn't he?
I think he realized exactly who he was.
I saw him on Barbara Walters'
show. And then he tried to play it down. Bing was one of the smartest men I've ever met. And he tried to, you know, play it down and be cool, because Bob would play the other way.
I see.
And no, Bing knew exactly who he was, and he had a little bit of ice water for blood.
Did he really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Bing would be your pal the night before. You'd meet people and have a couple of drinks with him. The next day on the set, he wouldn't even know them. He had Norwegian blood in him, you know, as well as Irish, and he had that cool side.
But his family, he was very strict with his children, wasn't he, Joan?
I don't know. I didn't know that part of him. I don't think he spent much time with them. He was always touring with the golf and you know, busy recording and being important.
Joan Caulfield, where are you from originally?
West Orange, New Jersey.
Are you really?
Yes.
Always wanted to be an actress?
Since I've been a little girl. I remember the picture of Betty Davis of Human Bondage, and I can remember I was a kid and we'd go for a picnic or something, and I'd say, Philip, when you kiss me, I wipe my lips. Remember that thing from it? And I was terrible. But I was in little plays, and then I went to Barnard College for a little while, and it was too hard for me. Then I went to Columbia University, where I joined the Morningside Players.
Right.
And my first review in the Columbia Spectator, I played with the undergraduates, and it was in their theater there. It said Miss Caulfield spoke her lines as if they were machine-made. Now, that's many, many years ago. It was a play called The Witch Hunt, and I was so frightened that what I did, the other actors could have killed me. They were semi-professional. They were in the college, the university. As I said my lines, I backed away from the audience, and they thought I was upstage. Well, it was chaos. Yeah, that was it. And I'll never forget, I was going with one of the Saranoff boys, you know, David Saranoff of NBC fame. And Tommy, or I forget which one. Bob, I forget. Well, anyway, they said, our dad's coming. He was the top General Saranoff, you know. Came to the show, The Witch Hunt. This is the one I was so rotten in.
Right.
A little part. And he came with Mrs. George Washington Hamilton, and they arrived in the limo at the Brandon Matthews Theater. I heard they were in the audience. Guess who went out between the first and the second act with the makeup on, my little witch outfit on, to shake hands with her? Well, that's how dumb I was. That's what an amateur I was. Well, I heard about that one.
You're looking over there, and that's Macdonald Carey. How are you?
Fine.
God, I haven't seen you in a long time. I see you always on television daily, Days of Our
so
Life.
Popular.
God.
Oh, I'll tell you. Listen to this one.
Yeah.
I remember her back there. You know, we're together forever in a book called The World Book.
I've never seen that.
You've never seen
What's that?
No.
What do you mean? What's that? Like
It's an encyclopedia, and it's for children.
Right.
Really, it was for people that either couldn't afford the Encyclopedia Britannica or didn't have the brains. They had the World Book, and it's a good
World Book. I've heard of it.
The World.
And we had a layout of they asked Wally Westmore to do this layout of making up a woman and a man as through the years as they got older. And here we are. But we look entirely different than we did in this thing. But we are forever immortalized in that book.
Sioux City, Iowa.
Yep.
Come on, tell me. I'm from Rockford, Illinois originally. Midwest, good territory, isn't it?
Oh, great territory, yes.
I mean, you went to Chicago, got on the radio.
I was in the radio there, but worked for
Started
NBC.
in radio.
I'm the oldest living contract player that NBC has. I had a contract with NBC in 1937.
Right.
And I'm still working for them. I haven't progressed very much, you see.
Dr. Kristen.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well,
I know Herschel did first.
Well, yeah, he was supposed to be. I was supposed to be his nephew, and he never. Unfortunately, he died, and he was never on the show. But that only ran a year, and then I did a show called Lockup, a nighttime show.
Right.
And that was 2 years, and then Ziv sold everything they had, highway patrols and everything.
Joseph Cotton.
Yeah.
Come on. When I say Joseph Cotton to Macdonald Carey, those days you must have had a good time with him, right? You guys started together.
You know, Joe had already made a name.
No, but go ahead.
Oh, sure. He'd been with the Mercury Players, with Orson Welles.
Orson Welles, okay.
And he had, it was a great part for him. It was one of Hitchcock's favorite pictures, Shadow of a Doubt. And I was fortunate to be in it. It was a wonderful break for me.
I've never seen Shadow of a Doubt. Can you get it on
One
video?
of the best films.
Really?
Great film.
One of my
Really
favorite
well done.
films of...
Joe Cotton starring in it.
Yeah, one of my favorite films of Macdonald Carey.
And you can get a video.
I don't think you can. I don't think
get
it's
any
made
of it
a video, but you can get a clip. Somebody's got the...
They've got it.
How many films have Macdonald Carey done? You've done so many.
About 65.
65. War pictures.
No.
There are a lot of westerns and war pictures. Why
a lot
do
of westerns.
They get you westerns? Why do they type Macdonald Carey? Look at you, suit, tie.
Well, he's
This
such a
is
great
for you.
comedian.
This is for you, Skip. I
But
put
no,
this on.
but you suit and a tie and a shirt, and you're so reserved. And then Paramount and all those studios, Republican, they put you in a cowboy outfit and
Oh, no,
got you
I
on
did
the
a lot
horse.
Of, did a lot of drawing room comedy.
Yes,
a great
that's
comedian.
yes, that I know. But
Sure.
they did a lot of westerns for you. You did a lot of westerns, didn't you?
Yeah, thank you.
You enjoyed doing them?
Loved it.
Were you in that thing from Laredo with Bill?
Bill and I did that.
Did you?
Uh-huh.
Bill said it was going to be a flop, you know, because he had the lousy part. I had the villain, which was the best part.
You were
Right,
great in
right,
that. You
yes,
were great.
yes.
In
Listen, this picture will never go.
Favorite movie?
Well,
You have one?
listen, everybody will always tell you the next one, you know.
The next one.
When will the next one come along? That's why I'm doing the soap.
You enjoy doing this soap?
Sure, it's great fun. It's another family. It's like, you know, I've been with it forever. This is our 24th year.
Oh my goodness.
24. It doesn't make you travel, just keeps you home. And Beverly Hills.
They go on a location every now and then.
Uh-huh.
They went to Greece last year, but I didn't go. But one segment of one of the storylines went there.
Paramount, both of you
Both
were there.
was at Paramount. That's how the Wally Westmore thing.
Was that a good studio, Paramount? Did
Oh,
you have,
yeah.
Wonderful.
Was it really?
Marvelous.
Wild, wonderful.
What made it so wonderful? Please, would you let me know? I just,
guess
because
it
I
was
know
like
at
family.
20th.
It was like family, and Bing and Bob sort of set the tone. It was so. We all played golf out in front of the dressing room. So remember, they had a pitching green there, and there was a. Why Frank Freeman, the head of the studio, was a very.
He was marvelous. He was.
After the war, it was so hard to get cars, and I'll never forget. Did you get one of those station wagons, man?
Not me, kid.
You mean you got people get station wagons? Is that-
Well, I don't know why I got one then. I think I better skip this.
No, go ahead, Joan Caulfield. You got your foot in that one. Tell us, how did you get this? Go ahead.
Mr. Freeman, I was sort of a little vain, you know, I was looking in the mirror, and they came from Mr. Freeman's office, and they said, what color would you like? It's a town and country station wagon. And I said, oh, any color, doesn't matter like that. And then this thing pulled up. Remember they had wood panel doors and the whole thing?
Yeah.
I thought you got one then.
No, I didn't get one. As a matter of fact, when I left, they turned my refrigerator off the week before, and my contract was over. And they also sent me a bill for cleaning my socks.
Oh, I
remember
can't
having to get-
believe it.
So, no, I don't have that fond memories of Paramount.
But you do have
in the
fond
end.
memories of Broadway.
Oh, but I do
Broadway?
have Paramount, really.
Broadway, Anniversary Waltz.
And Reversal Waltz was great. Kitty Carlisle
Kitty
was a
She's
leading
lovely.
lady.
Yes.
And she
Lovely.
still looks great.
She looks great. I saw her at the George Abbott 100th birthday
Yeah.
party. She came out and sang.
Uh-huh.
And she's, I mean, unbelievable. Carol Channing was there. She looked absolutely marvelous. Helen Hayes, Lillian Gish, and they had the whole lineup. I was so honored. And I did the first little thing of, that's what you call class.
Gail Russell.
Oh.
Tell me about her. She
Poor
was
dear
such a
Gail.
pretty
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
Tragic. Tell me about her.
Well, I never knew her very well. She was married to Guy Madison then.
Uh-huh.
Guy's still around, but she isn't. That's all I can say. She was.
I know one thing that happened. Do you remember she did a picture with John Farrow? I was supposed to do a picture called A Night with a Thousand Eyes. And John Farrow, the director, came
Yes.
from across the street in my dressing room, so drunk. And he was known as a sadistic man. Remember they called him O'Sullivan's Heel? Right.
I
Yeah,
think-
I was all ready in my costumes. Edith had costumes. We were going to go on location that night. And he was drunk. No, the next night. And I got terrified. He said, I'm going to get you. And I said, oh, please. I called up the head of the studio, and I said, Edward G. Robinson was in it, A Night Has a Thousand Eyes. And they put Gail Russell in the picture. And he started taking her to Lucy's restaurant. And she was young and innocent, didn't even want to be an actress, didn't want to be
She didn't want to
there.
be an actress?
No, she was a little
Very
high
shy
school
girl.
girl that Bill Michaeljohn.
She was a local girl, California, Santa
from a high
Monica.
school, yeah.
Right, right.
Sort of
And
withdrawn.
Beautiful eyes and everything. Well, she got in the picture, and I think that was the end of her. I mean, he just made hamburger of her.
But when I think of Hollywood when I was a kid, Betty Grable, that's what I thought.
Oh,
Betty
yeah.
Grable was Hollywood. Musicos, it was simple. It was not, there was no storyline, but it was a simple storyline. It was Hollywood, glamour and dancing and singing, 20th Century Fox. You worked with Betty. Tell
Betty
me.
Grable, yeah.
I love her. Adored her.
I did too.
You
She
did?
was a lot of fun.
3 for the show or something like, or was it great?
Well,
Fun
it
movie.
was a toss-up between Betty and Joan who had the best legs.
Uh-huh.
They were both pretty classy dames, and still, she still is. My gosh.
Thank you.
She is. She's beautiful.
Yeah.
20th Century Fox. You did with Rosalind Russell?
No, I did that at Paramount.
Paramount?
I did, but I did Grable picture, and I did a picture with Colbert.
Colbert.
Yeah.
Claudette Colbert, yes.
And
Lovely.
R.J. Wagner played my son. That was his first movie.
Was his first?
Yeah.
What was it?
Something called Let's Make It Legal. They run that the night shows all the time on cable.
Do you like to see yourself on late movies? What does Macdonald Carey think of himself? Those.
If I were getting residuals, I'd love to see myself, but I'm not.
Well, do you remember, Mac, when I was on the board of the Screen Actors Guild with Bill Holt? Were you on the board then?
I was
he
on the
was.
board.
We were all phoned it in,
I
though,
think he was vice president, weren't you?
And
Yeah.
that's when
Yes.
Ronnie was the president.
Yeah.
And you remember the residual thing came up, and we were all against, not getting the. But he said
Right.
you're going to have the best health, welfare, pension fund. He was right.
And we do.
And we
We
do.
do?
We do. Yeah.
We do.
But
You can
but
have
as
all
far
the
as
hernias you
residuals,
want.
we were all stupid.
All the hernias. Did you hear what she
You
said? to
want
that?
their
I
paid
love
for.
that line.
That's true.
Well, Joan, I don't want to get ill that day. Looking back over your life, Macdonald Carey, you've done it. You've had it. Good life.
I hope I haven't
You-
had it. Whoever introduced me said I had poetic justice. Spare me poetic justice. That would be terrible.
Do you have any regrets at all? Or
regrets,
would you've done
none at all.
No regrets to speak
none?
about.
None?
That we'll talk about.
But this Beyond the Further Hill, oh, God.
book,
This, writing poetry now.
It's doing well. It's doing very
that
well.
great?
I'm happy to say.
What made you turn into poetry? What did
I've always written, and I went back to UCLA about 10 years ago and started to write again.
Uh-huh.
And, yeah, and I got a very good teacher finally by the name of Jack Grapes, who said, "You've just got to." Said your problem is you're not writing enough. You've got to sit down and write a couple of hours.
You
every
like
day
to- you
and
write
do a
every
couple
day?
of pages. I should be, but I'm not. I'm out publicizing this book, which
Mac
I
is-
understand that.
Mac is perfect. He takes a singing lesson every day.
Singing
He's
lesson.
so brilliant.
This,
I mean, you're Mr. Perfect.
you sing
are.
every day? You take a lesson
Can you
every day?
believe
of
that?
every
singing?
day that I don't work on the show.
What
yeah.
makes you keep this energy flowing constantly?
Well,
You're working, you're singing.
It's
you're-
fun. It's fun. Well, once you start to retire, you die. You know?
True, true.
And the Joni knows how important the voice is anyway. That there's a practical, a pragmatic reason for taking the voice lessons too, because
I see.
I can not only use it, but
Yep.
it keeps you young. I ran into Johnny Raitt about 2 months ago, and he said, "You look good." And I said, "You look remarkable."
R.E.I.T., right, yeah.
Right,
The
Johnny
singer.
Raitt,
Yeah.
the singer, yeah.
Yeah, I had him
And he
on-
said, "You know the reason we're healthy and we're still alive," he said, "it's because," he said, "we breathe all the time." He said, "That's the reason." He said, "Conductors are the same way.
Yes.
Their arms are up all the time, and they're
breathing.
you
Yes,
know?
yes.
And that has a lot to do with it.
Correctly breathing.
So it helps a lot.
Love to hear one of your.
May I read one of
I
these?
would love
Okay.
it. Would you like, Joan? I
Love
would
it,
just.
love it.
What are you going to read us?
This is called Chauvinists Are Airborne, H-E-I-R.
Right.
I hate Hollywood kiss and tell books and stories as much as anyone. But this brief tale is just bizarre enough to be told. It was just after World War II, and there was a photography fad involving a camera that took three-dimensional pictures, stereoscopic. There was a large camera club with Harold Lloyd as president that had monthly contests for best stereoscopic picture. I had never hoped to win until I met one day with Tyrone Power. We'd both been in the Marine Corps, he as a pilot, and me as an air controller. Ty knows a man with a collection of airplanes he uses to develop air inventions to improve the quality of flying. Since we're all interested in aerial photography, we hired 2 models to pose in the nude while we fly over Los Angeles in a DC-3. We take off, so to speak, at 10 a.m. and orbit the Los Angeles area for 2 hours. We take lots of shots. The best is of Ty and a naked girl in the cockpit with the Los Angeles skyline in the background. The girls, of course, are the only naked bodies aloft, and being professionals seem not a bit perturbed. Our amateurism is betrayed in the pictures we take. There are beads of perspiration standing out in 3D for all to see, only on Ty and me, of course. The shots turn out perfectly, but I don't think they're any extant. Our wives burnt them all. Strangely enough, Ty's wife is the only one that's mad. My wife is happy that I spent the day with Tyrone Power. We didn't win the contest, but to this day, I watch the sky over Los Angeles and speculate, what's in those airplanes?
Oh, very good.
Women are funny.
Do you know something?
That's great.
Marine. You were in the Marines.
Yeah.
How long were you in the Marines?
3 years.
3 years.
But we were 2 years in the Pacific.
6 children.
6 children.
3 girls and 3 boys.
Not necessarily in that sequence, yes.
But you do have 3 boys and 3 girls,
Three
yes?
boys and 3 girls.
And one of your girls, rock band. What is she doing nowadays?
Well, she sings scat jazz now.
What scat? So what do
Scat jazz.
is,
She's very good. She's got a record out called Good Times. With yeah, and it's very good. And
Is she the pretty blonde?
she's
I
the
met
pretty
She's
blonde.
the oldest,
That's
isn't
right.
she?
And she's, I think, planning on. She sings with I can't think of that society band leader. That's this is terrible. She'll kill me that I forget it.
That's
Benny Duchin?
No, that's been around for years here. And
Society band.
yeah.
Wasn't he at the Irish? No, this wasn't the
No,
one who
no,
played
this
the
was
Irish.
somebody
Yeah,
else.
okay.
Anyway, Lenny, I think, is going to Russia. She
wow.
possibly to do a song there. She was last in Europe about 3 years ago. She was the head of the jazz festival in Switzerland.
Right.
So
Darling girl.
Joan Caulfield.
Yes.
I must tell you something. You have such a wonderful speaking voice, and you take it from there to there to there, and you have discovered something about voice makeover seminars you're doing.
Yes.
What is this all about? I just heard about this, and I'm very fascinated what you're trying to say.
Well, the point is that most young actors, Mac studies singing, and I mean, his voice has this beautiful, rich resonance, layers of interest. But most people walk around and they say, "Hi, how are you?" And you don't care, you know. They're all dressed beautifully, and their voice has no mystique. It has no power. It has no variety. And since I've been in the business many years, and I've taken voice-over courses, if you don't have an ear, you can't have a voice. So my niece and I, she publishes theatrical books, the Lone Eagle Publishing Company, and she said, "Well, Aunt Joan, why don't you give a seminar, voice makeover?" In other words, people who, you can't hear the sound of your own voice because there are 100 bones in your ear.
Right.
You must hear it on a recording. So I'm giving a seminar on June 17th, and guess who my special guest is going to be?
Really?
Mac said he
I'd
would
love
come.
absolutely.
Oh, it's such
Yeah.
a pleasure.
So, Joan
fun.
Caulfield, you believe when someone makes a telephone, a very, very important call,
Yes.
that voice.
Is the only you the people know.
So it's important to have a positive attitude.
It's important to think. I mean, and to control
That's it.
your voice so that you can, if it's a tense situation, cool it. You know, cool it, and then you can listen to what other people
Yes.
say. But you've heard people, they get all
Yeah,
involved,
yeah,
and everybody in the room, and but then you come in under. And then
Never
you
panic,
can hear.
never panic.
In other words, it's part of acting.
Yes.
I mean, like your eyes, your voice is the first thing that people, oh, I can't stand that voice. And then another thing, I don't want to know where people come from. I don't know that Mac came from Chicago or Iowa, and you
Yes,
came.
yes, Illinois.
Because we that drawl and that you know, that heavy kind of
Yes.
Southern accent, it's terrible.
I see.
And I just raised my voice in excitement. No, but it really is, and it can be controlled. So I'm giving this seminar.
First series on television, live. It was a live show.
It was terrifying.
Was it terrifying?
My
My
favorite
favorite husband?
With Barry Nelson. Well, we rehearsed all week, and it was 30 minutes. But there were 3 cameras and little studio audience, and then, I don't know, millions of people watching. And you had to be there, and you just... one night, Barry and I, we'd done about 100 shows, and they gave us the countdown, and he said, what show are we doing? I said, I don't know. The lights came on, the words came out, and I'll never forget one show. They had it was all live, and I was doing a little prologue, and it was cute. Barry would come in and read the paper, and I would do the fire or something, and I went to do the fire, and there wasn't an andiron, and suddenly a hand appeared with an andiron, and they cut to the hand, and I had to grab it and do the thing like that. But one night we had a disaster. We had a very well-known actress from New York, a character actress, who was a Spring Byington type. I think she was a friend of Springs, and they had a ball. They went to Palm Springs. They went partying all week long. Come Saturday Night Live at 9:30. The doorbell rings. George opens the door. Ah, the look. We had to, 27 minutes, she never opened her mouth. We had to steer
Really?
her around. She tried to get off the set. The camera nailed her. They wouldn't let her go. The whole world knew.
I see.
She was just absolutely terrified. That was a nightmare.
What was the most nightmare thing for you, Macdonald Carey, on stage and on Broadway? Anything ever happened
The
on
actor's
stage?
nightmare, gosh, I
Any-
don't know. There's been so many things. You dream more things than ever
I
actually
know,
happen.
I know.
Thank heavens, you know. Right now, my most horrible dream would be that this book did not sell.
Oh, it's
And
going to
people,
will.
This is only $9.95, and you
Buy
must
it.
get it.
It's a lovely book.
It's in Walden's and
It's a lovely
in
book.
Fedco's
And
May I-
JCPenney?
and JCPenney, perhaps. We'll see.
Macdonald Carey, Hollywood has changed a lot. What would you tell some young actors, both of you lit people, what would you tell them? How would they prepare themselves? Study, go to New York, or come to Hollywood and try, or what would you tell them, Macdonald Carey?
Work, get work anywhere
Regardless
you
where
can.
it is, isn't
No
it?
matter where it is.
And
yeah.
improve yourself. Find out who you are. You know, get your I am identity and get some style. You know,
Yes,
Max, you think
style.
of Richard Burton, you think of Garbo. They had an individuality. Now the girls think if they got this massive hair and, you know, and the body and everything.
yes.
It's nothing. It's
Of course, Garber didn't have this in the beginning. Remember, the studios had schools then.
That's
They
true.
They
trained.
groomed them.
They
They
groomed
groomed
them.
them. They groomed them to
Garbo,
find
I
out who
understand
they
at
are.
the beginning, I'm just reading the
Really?
Golden
Yes.
Book. It was a slump of a girl, yeah.
a schlump.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Really,
Apparently.
with
yeah.
that and that thing, I want to be alone. I mean, she established that
But
kind
she
of.
had a wonderful thing in her eyes. She
Oh, what a
was there.
face.
But she worked. Everybody worked, and everybody has to work any time, no matter when, what era.
To
it
be
is.
reliable, to be
More
on
than that.
time,
To learn.
to learn your lines, to do things. That is why Macdonald Carey is.